Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah. It's me. How y'all doing? Woo! It's the 22nd of August. One more night watching all the joyous Democrats in Chicago, and then I can start getting to bed at an earlier hour. Jeez. Anyway, it's been a hell of a show, must say. Before I get into it, some of you who were on a little earlier might have heard me say something. What happens is I set the stream up before the show, obviously, so I can go live. And then I sit here, I forget it's up, and I'm like drinking my Diet Coke to get some caffeine in me because I don't drink coffee. And that often elicits a rather extraordinary belch right before the show. And it occurred to me, earlier in the week or last week, that some of you who sort of come in early, my God, might have heard it because it was a doozy. It was one of those ones that if you were in a crowd of, frat boys, I would have been high-fived. I mean, it was seriously excellent, but it really freaked me out that I'd done did it. When I realized that people might have heard it. So I mentioned something about it. And then today on Twitter, one of you, Mord by name, Mord McGee, actually posted this. I tune in to Lynn Cullen before the show starts so I can hear her burp. You should listen and subscribe to her talk show because it's good sense and her crowd's bigger than Trump's. Mord, thanks a lot for the shout out. Not so thanks for the telling people why to listen. And because you said that, I just made a point to make sure my mic was turned off when I did my prodigious post-Coke pre-show burp. So there's that. All right. I got to start the show today before we get to the convention with a sports thing that I just read that is so quirky and delightful that in case you hadn't heard about it, I gotta tell you. Geez, my voice sounds about as bad as Bill Clinton's. God almighty. I mean, it's stronger, but it's still not right. Anyway, this is about a baseball player, major league, named Danny Jansen. I know I never heard of him either, but that doesn't mean anything because I don't follow baseball that much. Anyway, June 26th, which seems like a hell of a long time ago, but anyway, he was in a baseball game at Fenway Park in Boston, and he was at bat, and he was on the opposing team. He was on the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's at bat. It was the second inning, and I think he had one out. There was a runner on first, and then kaboom, the skies opened up. The rain comes pouring down, and they took a rain delay. And then the rain never stopped, so they suspended the game and rescheduled it for August 26th, which, according to my calendar, is in 4 days. So that game was never finished. And on August 26th, these two teams are going to pick it back up in the second inning with Toronto at bat, one out. But here's the rub. In the interim, from the June 26 rained out game to August 26, when they're going to finish it, the player in question, one Danny Jansen, was traded to the Boston Red Sox, the team he was batting against. Now, as crazy as some of the rules of baseball can be, there is no way that a player wearing a now Red Sox uniform, which is what he is now, can bat for the Toronto Blue Jays. But when the game starts, technically he's at bat. So obviously, and here's the thing. Obviously, the Blue Jays will put in somebody else in his stead, but because he'll be on the other team, and if they in fact play him, that is the Red Sox, his new team, I believe he's a catcher, he will be the first major league player, baseball player, in a very long history of Major League Baseball to play for two teams in one game. I love it. So I had to share it with you. Had to share it. And all he is heard to say is, "Oh man, he better work on that," because if he's going down in the history books, he needs to come up with a better quote than, "Oh man." But then I saw later in the article, because I kept reading, there's actually a pirate thing that's not unlike it. This is in 2009 when a Nationals pitcher, Joel Hanrahan, won a game while he was playing for the Pirates. Excuse me? But it involves the same kind of thing. So he had pitched a scoreless top of the 11th inning for the Nationals on May 5th. And then the rain came, the game was delayed, suspended, and rescheduled for 2 months later. And he was traded in between from the Nationals to the Pirates. And so while he was hanging out in the Pirates bullpen, when the game was finished up, it turns out the Nationals won that game, and he was the winning pitcher. But he was for the Nationals, but he was sitting in the Pirates bullpen. I'm just saying. But this guy, the Jansen, I mean, he could be the first to actually play for two separate teams in the same game. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Okay, I'll get to the big news. What I said yesterday, by the way, about RFK probably, yeah, is happening. It's happening, as he has now announced that he will announce tomorrow something or other. Everybody knows what it is. He's out. And unsurprisingly, and Robert F. Kennedy is turning in his grave, but his firstborn son, his namesake, is going to be, he'll endorse Donald Trump for president. Whoa. Just whoa. What an effed up mess that guy is. Anyway, he be gone. Goodbye. And don't worry about him endorsing Trump. He had so few people supporting him anyway. definitely was not going to win the bear vote or the dog vote. He eats dogs. He picks dead bears off the highway and puts them in Central Park. He has a worm in his brain. He is nuts. Nothing wrong with being nuts, but he's a particular kind of nut that is off-putting. Okay, so speaking of Trump, somebody said, and I'm sorry I cannot share with you who said, and it's wise, so I want to share it with you. We have learned that Trump cannot be beaten at his own game. I think this might be Robert Reich. I mean, he can't be beaten at his own game, that despicable game he's so good at, because he cannot be out-threatened. He cannot be out-shouted, out-grieved. He is beyond shame or guilt. He emits lies at such volume and repetition, they can't be corrected. So you can't come at him in the same way. It's how he's managed to flummox the media. They just don't know how to cover somebody who's not playing an honorable game. No, the only way to beat him is by playing an entirely different game. A game that relies on qualities that are the opposite of his, if we can call his qualities. And that means doing exactly what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are doing. Be joyful. Have fun. Be normal. Remind people of how good people can be and how strong we can be together. And so that, which is so much more appealing to anybody, is the winning strategy. I forgot who mentioned it last night. Lincoln talked about the better angels of our nature. Yes, we will win by appealing to those in stark contrast to the darkness of Trump. I don't know if I saw everything last night, but boy, I saw a lot, and almost all of it was, as has been the case, really good. Walz's speech was meh, not great. He's not a great orator, but he's a good man. You can see that. Anyway, he walked off when he finished. He walked off, and the music that was playing was Neil Young's "Rockin' in the Free World." Now, Trump had at one time used "Rockin' in the Free World" to walk on or off his stage, and Neil Young sued him. There will be no lawsuit from Neil Young with Tim Walz's use of the song because, in fact, Neil Young was politely asked by this campaign, which is the right thing to do, can we use your song? And he politely responded, be my guest. I don't know if you saw, it was pretty early in the evening. The Attorney General of the state of Michigan. This was a woman, and she's been up against a lot of insanity in her state from the Trumpers. And she had a line that That blew me away. I was actually in my kitchen with the sound turned up. And when she said it, I ran into the living room to see her. And what she said was this. Her name is Dana Nessel. She said, I got a message for the Republicans and the justices at the United States Supreme Court. You can pry this wedding band from my cold, dead, gay hand. And I'm retaining a lot of water, so good luck with that. Oh man! Oh man! That's my favorite. There's been some good lines dropped. That is by far my favorite. You can pry this wedding band from my cold, dead, gay hand, and I'm retaining a lot of water. So good luck with that. Yes! Yes, yes, yes. Then Saturday Night Live's Kenan Thompson came on the stage carrying this huge, huge book. It must have weighed 20 pounds. It's a huge book. It was a real book. And in fact, it was a copy of Project 2025, the blueprint for a second Trump presidency, which he now says, never heard of it. Never heard of it. As Coach Walls said, nobody draws up a game plan, which is what Project 2025 is. Nobody draws up a game plan that detailed unless they're intending to use it. Obviously. So Kenan Thompson walks out with that thing, and he had a great line. He said, "You ever seen a document that could kill a small animal and democracy at the same time?" Think of how much laughter there was at the Republican convention. I didn't watch it, but I know these Republicans. I suspect none. And if there was, it was mean-spirited. That's just my guess, but I'm a good guesser. I aced a lot of tests guessing. I win a lot of Jeopardy games guessing. And that's my guess. And then there was one of the Republicans who have been gracing the Democratic convention stage. And this was the former lieutenant governor of Georgia, which, by the way, has got to be watched because, as I've told you, Georgia has rigged, is trying to right out front rig the election in their state, which is a battleground, and went to Biden last time. And because of that, as you know, their election commission has been rejiggered. So it has just one little Democrat on it, and everybody else is a Republican and a Trumper. And they have revised certain rules, and they're absolutely ready to do all kinds of mischief to not count the vote properly and or certify it. The former Republican lieutenant governor of Georgia stood on the convention stage in Chicago last night and talked to other Republicans. And he said, look, these days our party acts more like a cult worshiping a felonious thug. Let me be clear to my Republican friends. If you vote for Kamala Harris in 2024, you're not a Democrat. You're a patriot. There it is. And a lot of Republicans, including people who have voted for Donald Trump in the past, have realized that, have gotten there, and have understood this is different. It doesn't make me a Democrat. It makes me a patriot. Let's see. Is there anybody? Oh, yeah, I liked Hakeem. Hakeem's. I'd never heard anyone else say this about Trump. He said, Donald Trump is like an old boyfriend who you just broke up with, but he just won't go away. He has spent the last 4 years spinning the block. That's a cute word. Must be Brooklyn black vernacular. I love it. He has spent the last 4 years spinning the block trying to get back into a relationship with the American people. Bro, he said, we broke up with you for a reason. And then there's former President Bill Clinton. Oh my God. First of all, I'm old enough to recall the speech he gave. Who was he? Nominating, I think, Dukakis. God. Wait, God. Yeah, that's when the Democrats didn't have their act together. And Bill Clinton, this sort of somebody nobody knew, did the introduction to the nominee, the governor of Massachusetts, Michael Dukakis. And I don't know if you remember it, but because that was a long time ago, Clinton went on for so long. I mean, I don't know, it might have been over an hour. It was like a Fidel Castro speech. It was a total misunderstanding of what his job was and who he was, namely, at that point, nobody. And when, I don't know, he obviously wasn't even reading the crowd. The crowd was groaning and moaning. And he finally said something like, and in conclusion, and the place broke out in jubilant cheers. He was humiliated. It was, I can't imagine how humiliating that would be. But obviously he recovered. But his tendency to go too long stayed with him. And I remember when he walked out on the stage last night, I thought, oh dear, let's see if he's learned anything. And it was clear that all the speakers last night were really read the riot act. You keep it moving. If the crowd starts chanting, you keep talking. Don't let the crowd take over. We gotta be on time or reasonable facsimile thereof. And oh my God, Clinton went on and on and on. Now, I don't know how much time he'd been given. I think I heard afterwards he was given a minute. That can't be. A minute? That can't be. Let's say he was given 5 minutes or 3. That'd be more reasonable, maybe. He went on and on and on and on, and at a real slow cadence. I mean, it was a fine, what he was saying was all good and fine and all of that, but he did not follow instructions. He mucked things up. Just want to say. But I thought his best line was this. And by the way, as I mentioned his voice before, boy, his voice is shot. I'm not sure what the issue is, but sort of like Biden's. I guess when some people get old, their voices get like really thin or raspy. I mean, mine ain't thin or quiet, but it is a little grumbly. I do hear that. But Biden and Clinton, theirs have gotten sort of raspy and you have to lean in to hear them. So Bill Clinton said this. Let's cut to the chase. I'm too old to gild the lily. 2 days ago, I turned 78. And the only personal vanity I want to assert is I'm still younger than Donald Trump. Great line. Great line. All right, so those are my favorite quotes from last night. And I think that's all I got. If you got something else, come on in and let me know about it. I'm just going to check and see if anybody's emailing anything. Not particularly. Okay. Oh, Pat is wondering, did you recognize Mindy Kaling? No, she didn't look. I think actually, Pat and I often are of the same mind. No, no, I'm glad she introduced herself and said who she was. No, I did not recognize her. And I was thinking, man, what is it? It's makeup artists. I think she lost weight, makeup artist. It's just Hollywood stuff. And maybe, I don't know, surgery? I don't know. But no, I did not recognize her. I mean, it's not that I never watched any of her shows, I must say, but I, see her out and about in magazines and stuff. And no, I didn't recognize her. You're right. It was mentioned yesterday by someone. Sorry, can't remember, so I can't credit you. That the wondrous roll call, especially George's with Lil Jon, the rapper, coming down the aisle, doing his thing with such joy, was for a lot of people just, a truly memorable part of the convention, at least that night. Ben is saying on social media, Trump called Josh Shapiro an overrated Jewish governor. Wow. As Ben says, just putting the racism, the anti-Semitism right out in front. Yeah, well, they are. They got nothing left. He got no cards to play. It's going to be ugly. And I worry about the debate. Not that she can't handle it. I just worry how ugly it's going to be. Because all he knows how to do is lie and spew hate, try to other people. Yeah. I can think a lot of things, adjectives that one might call Pennsylvania's governor, but to put so upfront Jewish, I don't know. incredible. So anyway, I wanted to get back to this other thing. You probably recall somebody yesterday said that Lil Jon, the rapper, had actually been on Trump's reality show, The Apprentice, which blew me away. So man. So Lil Jon at one point is on The Apprentice with, before Trump aspired to the presidency, as far as we know, and there he was putting it to him and trying to get rid of him this week. But do you recall that at the time that Trump was that big TV star, the reality star, the apprentice, the you're fired guy, he attended the National Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, which, as you know, is, a big gathering of big media, especially celebrity media, and big government figures and celebrities. So Trump was there in the celebrity category. The president at the time, the story I'm talking about, was Barack Obama. And Barack Obama, knowing Trump was in the audience, and being president of the United States, and at an event where poking fun is the order of the day, he saw an opportunity to get back just a little bit at Trump. Because Trump, of course, with his racism in tow, was the leading peddler of Obama wasn't an American. Where's his birth certificate, right? And that racist crap meant to trip up Obama's candidacy obviously failed, but it conjured a movement of like-minded racists, birthers, who were having apoplexy about the possibility of a black man in the White House. And then it happened. And so that black man, Barack Obama, who lived in the White House, stood at the podium at that correspondence dinner and looked directly at Donald Trump at one of the tables before him. And he started talking about, that is the president, Trump's television show, Celebrity Apprentice. And he went into some detail describing a recent episode of The Celebrity Apprentice and Trump's choice of who he would get to say, "You're fired." And if you'll recall, Trump was barely keeping it together. The rage he was feeling, because he was being humiliated. He was being laughed at, which is the one thing he cannot abide. He was being laughed at by the President of the United States and a room full of people more consequential than he. And the president, Barack Obama, talking about this one episode of Celebrity Apprentice, went on to say, and this is why, because Lil Jon figures in. The president said directly to Trump, and ultimately, you didn't fire Lil Jon or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And you know, these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night. Well handled, sir. Well handled. Wow. The place erupted in derisive laughter. And here's the thing. I have no doubt that it was that moment where Trump said to himself, I am going to get you, you son of a bitch. I am going to show you. And I don't think, I'm sure the thought had been in his head, but man, because what fuels Donald Trump? We all know him so well now. Vengeance. Nothing fires him up more than settling a score and then some. So it's odd how I just wanted to show how small this world is of celebrity, of this rapper who when he showed up, didn't know who he was. That's how out of it I am. But Lil Jon, and Donald Trump, and Barack Obama, man, it goes way, way back. And we are still, and the world is still, suffering the consequences of Trump's bruised ego and his humiliation that night. Huh. Milton, thank you for this. Milton has resent me an email he sent me 4 years ago. And it's apt. So let me read it here. So this is Milton writing 4 years ago. I've always thought that those who believe that Trump decided to run as a result of that 2011 correspondence dinner, that'd be me, were forgetting an interesting aspect of what happened that weekend. The night after the correspondence dinner was the big finale of Celebrity Apprentice, that last half hour of which, never actually aired because it was interrupted, oh my God, by the breaking news of bin Laden being taken out by President Barack Obama. That is right. He was joking around at that correspondence dinner, knowing full well that this effort to kill bin Laden was underway. And the news of it breaks and knocks Trump's show, the finale, off the air. Woo! Milton says, I'll always contend that the combination, of being humiliated on Saturday night, then having his big finale eclipsed on Sunday night is what drove his decision to run. So, okay. So Saturday night primed him. Sunday night sealed the deal. Milton says, I just think that this latter part of the equation is often not mentioned, but just as important a factor. Wow. Milton, thank you. As usual. My gosh, thank you. And maybe this time I'll remember that. Ed writes, my favorite convention line last night was when Bill Clinton said that 90% of job gains, jobs created, occurred under Democratic administrations. And I forget how far back he took that. I forget how far back. Somebody help me here. Because he said he checked the numbers and then checked them again, because even though he knew that the Democrats were going to win the category because they care about people, not just billionaires, he was blown away by it. And how far back did he go? It was like 100 years, right? In the last 100 years. Oh, wow. And those numbers are, are verifiable. How many jobs were created under various administrations? You can tote them up. Government keeps statistics. And job creators. Republicans are always talking about themselves as job creators. Never, they're thinking of it in that trickle down kind of way. Yeah, we give you jobs for which we underpay you, but we give you a job. We fight to keep you from organizing so that you can have an equal seat with us at the bargaining table. Oh my God. But yes, Clinton actually said, and I would like to see more on that 90% of all the jobs created in this long period up till now in American history were created under Democratic administrations. It seems to me that's all you need to know. That's all you need. I read something the other day that just blew me away. And I want to thank Pittsburgh's wondrous Virginia Montanez for bringing it to my attention in her, what is that? Is it a Substack? I don't ever know what to call it, but it comes into my mailbox, and it's wondrous. She's really, you learn so much about Pittsburgh history. You get a real good laugh. And she put, let me find it. Where did I put it? She put something out there that somebody had sent her, which, here's what I want to say. I have no reason not to believe that this thing she put out there, it was on Twitter, and somebody was trying to get a job, speaking of jobs. And this is in Pittsburgh, and they they found an opening in one of Pittsburgh's restaurants, and they sent in, a request for an application. And this is partially what they got back, this thing to fill out. Okay, let me get it here. It's mind-blowing to me. Imagine this. You're applying for a job, and the application says this: if you are not working, how long has it been since your last job? Why are you unemployed at a time when Pittsburgh restaurants are desperate to hire employees? Our policy is not to hire people who are not currently working at another job. Why do you think we should change our policy and hire you if you are not currently working? Now, I just want to say this. Whoever wrote that, whatever employer this is, and she doesn't name them. I wish she would. I'd never eat there again if I did. Could ask that question in another way that wasn't so unbelievably condescending and mean, right? I mean, really. And then that's not all. Later, as she, well, what Virginia said, okay, let's say you were currently working. Whew. So you pass the first question, and then you bump into this on this application. Have you ever held a job longer than 1 year? If you haven't, if you are always going from job to job, we are unlikely to hire you. Why do you think we should change our policy and hire you if you can't hold on to a job for more than a year? Again, as Virginia says, man, she's saying, I'm not saying that getting this kind of job history from a prospective hire is wrong. Makes sense. But the way they're doing it, as she puts it, the derision is just dripping off the page. Who the hell would want to work for such a vile being? Unbelievable. I wonder if people move from job to job because of employers like that. It's quite possible. We got a caller here. Hello. Hang in there. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Lynn Cullen live. Good morning. Approaching afternoon. You reminded me of that great correspondence dinner with Obama. It was really good. That was from Seth Meyers. I know it's way past your bedtime, but if you can watch on YouTube when he does a bit called A Closer Look. It's really, really funny. Political stuff. Seth Meyers, he's a late night guy.
Yes.
But he used to write for Saturday Night Live for years and years, and he used to write for the Weekend Update, doing the news. And he was the host that evening. But the joke that always stuck with me, I laughed so hard. At one point, Obama goes, "Well, Donald Trump knows he's a person. He's a person of color. It's just not a color that's normally found in nature."
He said that too. Oh my!
And Trump
God.
was just fuming. You know how Trump sits like he always looks like he's sitting on a toilet.
Yeah.
His legs are spread and he's sort of hunched forward. It looks like he's always trying to take a huge Trump dump on his golden toilet. But he was just sitting there in that toilet pose, just fuming. If it was a cartoon, you could see, smoke coming out of his ears and head. Oh, but that was a good one.
Oh,
All right,
man.
let's enjoy tonight. I can't wait to see what celebrities show up. Who do you think? Do you think Taylor or Beyonce or something?
Oh my God, can you imagine Taylor Swift? It won't happen. I don't think
I
she would.
can't. I don't think. I don't know because someone was saying, she's a businesswoman
Yeah.
and she's aware that if she makes a call like that, she's going to lose some people. But I think she's also a smart enough businesswoman to know that she will also, I think, gain the respect of a lot of people by taking a stand. So I don't know. I can't figure out what's in her brain under that spangly one piece of bathing suit. But who knows?
Well, she's
It'll
got,
be interesting.
the power that she possesses with her fans can be, I think, will probably, be used in perhaps not quite that splashy a way, but who knows? Trump
Right.
putting out that fake endorsement the other day certainly gives her, uh, kind of motive to correct that impression. I just don't see her doing it. I don't know, but maybe you'll be right. Oh, wouldn't that be something? You think Beyonce?
Someone said there's a rumor
Oh,
perhaps
okay.
because Harris is using a Beyonce song
Yes.
as her theme song.
Freedom, right.
But someone said if Taylor Swift endorses Harris, there's not enough ketchup in the world for Donald Trump to throw at the wall.
Oh, gosh.
All right, I'll let you go.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Good to hear from you. Oh, my. Hey, I see that. God damn, where did the time go? I just want to get a few things in here before my time is up, which is happening. Oh dear, what do I have time for? Oh, this is a consequential thing, and I'm sorry to end on a it's consequential what we've been talking about, but Cullen, you're blathering. Just get to what you're. I'm trying to remember what it. Oh yeah, there was. This is a story that nobody paid any attention to. I did because I labored under one of these things for my entire, almost my entire working life, and that is a non-compete agreement. You've heard of non-disclosure agreements. That's something Trump's big on. You work for him, you sign away your life, you can never say anything. I mean, this is what they do. A non-compete is when the only way you can get a job is to agree that you will never go to another job like it within a geographic area in which you could be seen as competition to your now former employer. So this is a common clause in contracts in radio and television. That is why you don't see a lot of people at one TV station and then they show up on another. Now, you can see that on occasion, but usually that person has sat out for at least a year. But I always thought that it just seems so outrageous that a person, what happened to the free market? I mean, if I'm working for you, and then like I work for somebody in a hair salon, let's say, and then I, think, what, I want to open my own. The odds are you've got a non-compete. And you might have to actually pick up and move where you live to be able to open a business. That should not be the case. So I was so thrilled when Biden's Federal Trade Commission, I think it was just a few months ago, voted, and it was a vote split along the Republicans and the Democrats on the commission, issued a rule that made these kinds of agreements unlawful. And it voided, the rule they put out voided immediately all the contracts that bar workers from moving to another employer. I'm looking for it was estimated that some 30 million American workers are subject to such non-competes. And I can't imagine the joy that this rule brought to so many people who've been stymied in their efforts to move up. Well, shouldn't surprise you, the business boys immediately sued and took it, of course, to federal court and got it in front of a Donald Trump appointed federal judge who had already blocked the rule from taking effect and who just earlier in the week said the FTC did not have the power to do what it did. Now, here's the rub. Normally, what would the FTC do? It would appeal. This is a Trump federal judge destroying the dreams of 30 million American workers with one stroke of her pen. But if the FTC appeals, who's it appealing to? Where does it have to go? The Supreme Court? The Supreme Court? Another Trump court from which there is no chance for appeal. And did not they just, in this last session of theirs, well, they did many things. They made the president, a king, and they totally eviscerated agencies like the FTC, the EPA, regulatory agencies from being able to do what they are intended to do, which is regulate by promulgating rules to safeguard workers, to safeguard water, to safeguard air, to safeguard our environment, so many things. And the court just eviscerated their ability to do that. So if you have a non-compete, tough. And if you have a non-compete and you think it's grand, then fine. Vote for Donald Trump and get more of the same. All kinds of hurdles placed in front of you and no helping hands. They don't believe in it. Hurdles they believe in getting ahead. Thank you all for spending some time with me. I appreciate it muchly. I look forward to this evening. And then, guys, we've got to get to work. We got what? 75 days. 75 days. They're going to go by in a blink of an eye. So when we fight, we win. You have a good one, okay?
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.